Hello, everyone. How are you? Book club. I don't think we didn't read this for book club, but it was one of the suggestions by one of the most active. I swear she reads like, I don't know, a book a week or maybe more, like 2 books a week. I don't know. It's a lot. Another girl that I think she's reading this book now reads several books at the same time, which I'm like so envious of these people who can do this and keep it all straight. Usually I can do two, but that it's overwhelming and I have to kind of backtrack a little bit. But anyway, without further ado, The Calamity Club by Kathryn Stockett, who wrote The Help, which I absolutely loved, and I am hoping there is a movie or a series that is going to come out with this story because it's a great one. It takes place back in the day, Mississippi, like the 1930s, I think. Yeah, I think the 1930s, maybe late 1930s, maybe 1940, but I think 1930s, if I recall correctly. I was never good at that dates. But back in the day, and it's mostly about women. There are some men in it, but anyway, it's historical fiction. It's like Southern fiction, which I listened to this because it was a really, really thick book. And I like to multitask, and I feel like I retain more because sometimes it doesn't stay in my brain, which, and like, that's why I always have these notes because I like to glance and refresh, if you know what I mean. But you would think I would just had finished this book, and this tries to keep everything without too many spoiler alerts because I really do encourage you all two of you, to read this book or listen to it. The Southern voices, like the tones in there. I mean, it really sounds like the people from The Help. It's amazing. But anyway, so the vibe is big-hearted, not light-hearted. It is heavy at times. There are some heavy. There's heartbreak. There's hope, all at the same time. It's in the Depression era, so people know how to really make the most of food and money. Because they're all scraping for it. And then also found family. Like there's a lot of, you can't just look on Facebook. You've got to go searching and write to your friend who has a cousin who might know where this person is. And there's telephones, but not everyone has a telephone. And you could do a party line that you share a telephone with several of your neighbors. And there's certain ringtones where it's for you. It was very, I learned a lot in this because that is a thing. That is definitely a thing that happened. It might even still be a thing. I don't know. Maybe not with cell phones. Anyway, so the hook, it took me a minute to get into this. I was getting distracted, and then I don't know when it clicked. It was like chapter 8 or 9 for me. I think because I was listening to it, it was going while I was going, so I don't think it caught on. I think if you do read it, it'll grab you sooner. But again, I'm more of a murder mystery type thing, but there's some mystery in here. It's not murder mystery, but like you're wondering where somebody went, and things like that. So it does pull you in. And especially the relationships between these totally different women. Even the sisters, totally different. But there's a part where there are several women living together, again, Depression era, making money, that kind of thing. These women are all different. The personalities couldn't be further from each other. And it was amazing how at first they were like, nope, I don't care about you or anything about you. Um, and then they became closer. Um, what is about? It's about women's relationship. It's about making do with what you have and how far you'll go to accomplish something or find someone or to make the money to be able to pay your bills. These women are very, I don't know what the word is, not intuitive, innovative. Yes, very innovative in finding ways to be able to pay a bill or pay off a credit. They're doing it without, these are all women that are not relying on a man. One of the lady's husband, she's an older lady. Her husband had died. Another woman, she was into math and reading and things like that and just never met a guy. I think a little bit of a spoiler alert. So fast forward, like jump about 5-10 seconds here. She had a problem. She had some illness that they had to go ahead and sterilize her. I'll just say it that way. Anyway, so I think she gave up on herself for a while. She didn't think she was going to be useful because she couldn't do that anymore. And yeah, there's some women. So women back then, women didn't have power. So any powerful position over other women, some women got very full of themselves on being able to order around other women and then being the teacher's pet to the higher up man that they worked under, if that makes sense. So it's kind of about that and getting along and community and things like this. There's two different stories that end up coming together. There's a little girl who, she was very, very smart. She was in an orphanage and her mom just kind of never came home one day. And the lady at the orphanage did not like her for some reason. She really didn't have a reason why. And this kid was just very, very looking on the bright side. She was genuinely a sweet girl. And this woman just hated her. I don't know if she was too sweet or whatever. I mean, I know later what happened, but at first I was like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? Why doesn't she like this little girl? She seems very helpful, very kind. She'll be quiet if you want her to be quiet. But she would like seclude her away from all the other girls and like, you're dirty, you stink, you're stupid. And she would just keep her away. And she would tell her that her mother didn't want her anymore and left her there. I mean, to tell an orphan this, it was rough. And this girl just always, she was like, it's fine. I don't know why my mom wouldn't like me, but maybe one day I'll find somebody to take me out of here. And she just had this little hope the whole time. And then the other story is the main character, Birdie, lived with, this is the one that I was just telling you about, that just kind of wrote herself off as if like no man is going to want her at this age. And she's like in her 20s or whatever. But she just kind of wrote herself off and she went and got a little accounting job at the local general store that paid like, I don't know, a nickel or something. So she was barely keeping things afloat at home with her mom and her grandmother. So her mom, I can't remember I think that man died and then the grandmother, her husband died too. I forget, but they were all three women, 3 generations living and struggling to make ends meet. And so she was the breadwinner of the family, which she didn't make that much money, but I think they had cows and, chickens and stuff. So they had some food. but they didn't have a phone, and I don't know how often they had electricity, but they made ends meet. But anyway, she had a younger sister who went off and got married and was more frou-frou and like, you guys can stay home. I'm going to go find myself a man. And off she went. She got married, and the mother and grandmother send Bertie to go see Frances, who's the sister, at her, her and her husband's home. They live on this kind of plantation-y home, with the mother, where this money all came from. But the husband also worked at a bank, so he was in finances. But anyway, so she goes up to visit and also ask for money, to see if she had any money that she could bring home and like pay the mortgage and stuff like that. So she goes up there and ends up going to Frances, the sister who's married. She volunteers at this orphanage. See how the crossover gets there. And so Bertie is like, well, I'll come, just put me to work. And so she went and helped with the books. She went and checked over all the books. And she's like, if you did this, this, and this, and no one wanted to hear it. The lady Garnett, who was the mean lady to that one little girl, she didn't want to hear about the ways they could save money. She thought the girls had it just fine, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, the thing that stood out to me was the close relationships built out of desperation that at first lacked trust and love, but grew into it. So that comes later when it's crazy. The husband somehow messes up at the bank and he disappears, and the wife and her mother-in-law are left at this house like, what do we do now? And he left them with some debt and things. I think he bailed out because he was like, I don't know if I can pay this, because he actually got fired from his job. Spoiler alert, sorry. But anyway, so he leaves, and so Bertie is there trying to help her sister. And then the sister and the mother-in-law, go to look for this man in the other neighboring town or whatever, in Jackson. I think it was like 2 hours away or something. So then there's all this other stuff that happens. But then there ends up being a bunch of ladies just living at the house temporarily. And that's when things get crazy. So that's where I need to stop, because that is where the crazy stuff starts happening. And it's really good. My favorite line or moment, again, I try to keep it without spoilers, but so there is a point at the orphanage when Bertie goes and confronts the mean lady in front of her own husband. So the mean lady's husband is there, and she has pulled the wool over his eyes. He's a doctor. She has never had him come and look at the girls like she had told someone that the girls were looked after, but they were not. He had never come in to see how horribly moldy this place was. Like, there was mold everywhere. So these girls are breathing in the mold, not even just the one girl, like all the girls. She had the windows sealed shut, and it smelled moldy and musty in there. And these girls are just breathing in this nasty stuff. So Bertie confronts her and kind of puts her on the spot, like, you have to do this. And she's like, no way, I'm not doing it. And the husband is like, listen, because again, men have the final say back then. Listen, this is happening. And I can't tell you what it is because it is huge and you're going to have to go see it. So, anyway, I wrote here, so it feels like, I don't know if you remember The Help or if you saw The Help or read The Help, but you feel like you're like in there with it, which I guess a lot of things are, but it feels like you're sitting on a Mississippi front porch, and I can just picture the front porch at in The Help, and you're listening to unforgettable women tell stories filled with heartbreak, humor, hope, and resilience. That's what it feels like. They're just telling their story to you. So that brings us to you the if you like this and if you like that. If you like The Help, if you like The Color Purple, that has nothing to do with this, but that was just another big one that caught my eye back in the day. The Color Purple, actually they redid it, so just that the bond that you have even through really really hard times, and especially through hard times, that you have with these other women, and just family in general, is great. So if you like The Help, if you like historical fiction, then you'll want to read The Calamity Club. If you're into stories about friendship, resilience, community, and that takes place in the past, again, like a period piece like 1930s, then this is for you. If you've ever fell in love with a story that felt like real people, that had, once you read the last page, you kept thinking about it for a really long time after, this book is for you. The Final Take, 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. If I had only read the first 5 chapters, I would have said 3 out of 5 stars, but I think that was user error. I think if I was reading it instead of reading it, I think I would have locked in a lot sooner. In fact, I think I want to go back and listen again to those first however many chapters. I want to say it was like 8 or 9. Anyway, so it was a lovely, heartfelt story that I'll be thinking about for a while. So yeah, that's it. Again, also, if you read this story, please comment here who your favorite character, or if you have read it and you remember it, which I think you will. Let me know who your favorite character was and why. I believe mine was Meg, which is the little girl that was at the orphanage, and everything that happened. She always had a positive outlook. She always was hopeful. She was always helpful as well. Like, I don't know, like even when she was sad, she still had this hope. It was amazing. Especially being in an orphanage, especially being told that your mother didn't want you anymore. Like, this girl was strong, stronger than I think she would ever imagine she was if she were a real person, which she's not. But in my mind, she is. She'll always be real. So Meg was her name was Margot. They called her Meg. So go see if you like Meg as well, or maybe you like Birdie. Birdie was also an awesome character, and there were a few wackadoos in there that I really liked too. So I hope you go read it and come back and let me know if you liked it. And if you like this, please give me a follow, and more chatty, gossipy book reviews, I guess, here. Anyway, bye.